It's a windy day in the desert today. You just might get to hear my wind chimes. The recipe for stuffed peppers. It says it makes 6. That depends on the size of your peppers. You might get 5. You might get 7. I made a double batch because I don't have any in my freezer. And these freeze so good. Take a couple out, stick them in your refrigerator overnight. And they heat up good in the microwave. You can use red, green, or yellow bell peppers. I kind of like to use a little bit of poblano sometimes. Poblano pepper is this shape at your grocery store, and it's got a covering that's almost like a cellophane. Real thin on it. Cut the top off the pepper and get the seeds and the vein out. I have this nifty little tool here. Used it on poblano and on the bell peppers. And once you get the seeds and the veins out, put these in your skillet on low with the top on it. And when you kind of get a little bit charred, put them in a plastic bag. Let them sit in there until they're cool enough to handle. Put your rubber gloves on, a little knife, and it just peels off of there. I've got all kinds of little pieces here. And they'll be ready to stuff. I made a batch this morning, cooked my rice and my meat, mixed it all up. Then I did a taste test. It's perfect. That's the one good thing about making your own sauces. You can make them as spicy as you want to. It's perfect in here. It's ready for me to stuff my peppers. When they get stuffed, I'll put about 3/4 inch of water in here. Cover them tight with foil. Bake them at 375 for about 25 minutes until the peppers are pretty much done. We're ready to go in the oven. I did 9 bell peppers and 2 poblanos. I want them to stay upright in the pan. So I took a pan a little bigger than this one, put water in it, and sat it in here just to keep them upright. Cover them tight with aluminum foil. Put them in my oven. Then we're going to talk about cheese. They have to have a little. It took an hour for my peppers to get soft. And that's probably because I had so many of them in there. I've never doubled the recipe before. I had to take out some of the mixture out of each one to leave a little room for the cheese. I could have done 12 peppers. Well, look at the cheese packages. They go by grams. This Colby Jack says that in a 1/4 cup, 28 grams of cheese. I got my little scale out, as I always do when I do cheese, and put it in there. I doubled my recipe. On my scale, I had used 56 grams. 56 grams comes up to right at 3/4 of a cup loose. What I always find is, when it says a 1/4 cup, we don't know if they pack it down or if it's loose. Every time I do this, a 1/4 cup compared with the grams comes up to a little bit more than, not heaping, but just a little bit more than a level 1/3 cup. The recipe total is 444. Before we add the cheese, it's 74 milligrams apiece. I'm going to sprinkle the cheese and the peppers and put them back in the oven minutes to melt that cheese. With the cheese on them, they're going to be right at 87 milligrams. It only took 5 minutes for the cheese to melt in the peppers. Husband's eating one now. One of the poblanos fell apart, so We have a side dish to go with our dinner tomorrow night. I chopped it up and mixed it with what I took out of all of the peppers to make room for the cheese. After we have our dinner tonight, these are going to be covered with plastic wrap, put in the refrigerator. Tomorrow, I will freeze them. But they need to be cold before I do